Hello and welcome to episode number 31 of the Giddy Knits podcast. I'm Helen and I'm still coming to you from Surrey in the United Kingdom, where I live with my husband Tom and my two boys, Arthur, who is 4.5, and Jasper, who is 1.5. Today is Sunday the 24th of June, and Tom has taken the kids out. Well, he's taken Arthur out to the park and Jasper is currently asleep, so fingers crossed he will nap for long enough for me to record this. But yeah, I'm a few weeks late recording, and apologies for that. For those of you who've watched me before, firstly, hello and welcome back. And actually, I'll go through for any of you that are new as well. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast. For those of you that don't know, me and my family are moving to Dundee in a month now. In fact, a month today, the removals company will be arriving to pack up our flat. So as you can imagine, things have been a little bit crazy. So apologies for the podcast being very late. I think I'm 2 weeks late now. I usually record fortnightly, but yeah, I haven't recorded for a month. I kept meaning to, and then things got in the way, and then my parents visited and I couldn't record while they were here, and life just got away from me. I was also doing a lot of work, a lot of dyeing for Socks on the Beach event that I've talked about before. That was last weekend. So yeah, busy all around. And for those of you that don't know, I am the dyer behind Giddy Yarns. So I might as well go into where you can find me. So you can find me on Instagram and on Ravelry as Giddy Helen. And as usual, that's my more sort of personal account where I share my knitting and share kind of family stuff and things like that. And you can find my yarn on Instagram as Giddy Yarns, and also on my website, which is www.giddyyarns.com. And hopefully, as usual, I will have put all of that down here so that you can see it. Okay, so I'm feeling a little bit out of practice, so it's probably going to be all over the place. Also, apologies if I keep touching my nose or if I'm a little bit sniffly. I am really suffering from hay fever at the moment. I am dosed up on all the antihistamines that I can take, but it is still getting through. So I have a very itchy nose. Okay, so what have I gone through? I've said hello, I've said where you can find me, I've rambled about moving. So what have I got for you this week? That's a good place to start. So I have got some finished objects for you, unsurprisingly, seeing as it's been a month since I last recorded. I've also got one work in progress to share and 3 new cast-ons, I believe. I was going to touch on a little bit of blanket progress. I've got quite a lot of yarny goodness to share with you. Again, it's been a month. And I was also, if we've got time, I was going to touch on a little bit of future knitting that I have planned, and then I will finish with a little bit of shop news. I would finish with a behind the scenes section, but knowing me, I'll probably ramble about most of the behind the scenes stuff as I'm going through everything else anyway, so you'll get all the background anyway. Okay, so let's delve straight in to finished objects, shall we? Okay, my first finished object is my quill shawl. Which if you're a regular viewer, you will have seen me working on this for a while, but I have finally finished it. I haven't blocked it yet. That is one thing that I have not had time to do. Oh, and I can't get it all on the screen. So here it is. And this is the quill shawl, which is a pattern by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. And it does have this lovely lace section at the bottom, which I shall see if I can show you a little bit closer up, but I'm not quite sure how well I'm going to be able to. In fact, maybe if I put it on my shoulder and come a little bit closer, I will be able to show you this. Kind of, can you just about see it there if I stretch it out a little bit? Yeah, this lovely little lace section at the bottom. There you go, that's a bit better, isn't it? It doesn't show up particularly well in the dark colour on the screen here, but it does look lovely in real life. And when I block it out, obviously that'll open everything out and it will show out a lot better. But yeah, I just haven't had a chance to block this yet. Hopefully I will do in the next few weeks, but I absolutely love it. I knit this out of John Arbon, Knit by Numbers, in their DK range. and I can't remember all the colourway names, and I've put the tags away somewhere. So if you want to know all the names of the colours, then check out my show notes for my last episode. But it is absolutely gorgeous yarn, and I love the little, so you've got the stocking stitch sections, then you've got the little garter bumps in the brighter colour, and then you come down with the lace at the bottom. So yeah, absolutely lovely. It is such a soft yarn. I knit another shawl. In fact, the first shawl I ever knit was the Passepartout shawl by Marnell. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. I think I was knitting it when I first started recording the podcast. And I knit that out of DK Knit by Numbers from John Arbon as well. And it is gorgeous. It's such a soft yarn. It's just what you want to have wrapped around your neck in the winter. And I'll put this on because, I mean, I would wear this, see, when it's not blocked, it's not so easy to sort, but I would wear this as kind of like in like a bandana kind of style. Which I think will look really nice. I've still got a stitch marker on there. I've still got Progress Keeper on there. Let's take that one off. That's where I was last time I recorded. Oh, come on. I can't get it off. Okay, I'll leave it on there for now. But yeah, so that's kind of how I would wear it. That's really badly styled, but hopefully you get the idea. And it's absolutely roasting in here, so I'm not going to be wearing a DK weight shawl while I record. But yeah, so that is finished object number 1, which I'm really, really happy about. And I can't wait for the colder weather, and hopefully winter in Dundee. There'll be lots of cold weather, so I'll have lots of excuses to wear this. So what else do I want to tell you about this? No, not much. That's the pattern, is the quill shawl, as I said, by Curious Handmade. And as I said, I knit it out of John Arbon DK Knit by Numbers, which is a 100% Falklands Merino base. So it has got quite a fluffy halo. I don't know how well that will show up. Can you see? I think you can see that there. It's got it's quite fluffy, but it is just 100% merino. But it is, yeah, it's so soft. So yeah, finished object number 1. If I remember or I get around to it, I might try and show you again once I've blocked it, so you can see sort of the lace blocked out properly and how much effect that has on the size. But otherwise, that's 1 shawl finished. Right, I've also got 2 pairs of socks that I finished. So firstly, I have finished Tom's scrappy socks, or his Frankenstein socks, as I've taken to calling them, because these are, I don't know, at the same time, the ugliest and the coolest socks that I've ever knit. They are completely random scraps. There's quite a bit of Desert Vista dye works in there that I received in a swap, but then there's also a few additional bits that I've kind of picked out so that there wasn't too much repeat. And the idea is that Tom wants odd socks. So the plan basically is that now I've knit him a pair, all I have to do is knit him 1 scrappy sock at a time, and he'll just wear them as individual odd socks, which is kind of why what I've done with the heels and toes, as you can see, they don't match. So each sock will have a matching heel and toe, but they're not going to have a matching pair, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's super fun. It was really, really fun to knit these. They knit up really quickly because of changing the yarns all the time. I really like this little flash of blue at the end before the toe on this one. Yeah, and if anyone's got any really good tips for managing the ends in scrappy socks, then drop me a message. On this one, I don't know if you can really see, or you can just about see here. Oops, sorry, dropped the camera. On this sock, I held all the ends together and knit sort of 4 or 5 stitches holding all the ends together, which made you get a tiny little lump, and occasionally you get like a little odd stitch in a funny colour here, where I've done it, and the same you can kind of see there where I've done it. But that seems to be holding up better. And then somebody told me about the clasp, I'm going to say it wrong, the clasp weft join, which I started using on the second sock. What I'm finding is I've had to have a little play with these, because when I pick them up to record, oh yeah, you can see here, what I'm finding is I'm getting little bits of end poking through the outside of the sock. with that particular joint, so I don't know if maybe I'm managing the ends wrong. So what I've had to do is pull them all back through, but now I've got like loose ends on the inside of the sock, and I don't really want to trim them off because they're popping through onto the other side if they're too short, which I don't seem to be having a problem with on the other sock. But I don't know, I'm certainly going to need to keep an eye on these to make sure that they don't sort of unravel, which is a little bit concerning. So yeah, if anyone's got any ideas for managing the ends better with scrappy socks, then let me know. Otherwise, I think I might just have to weave in all the ends properly, which is going to be really time consuming and really annoying. But yeah, so they're Tom's scrappy socks. Again, I can't really go through the yarns that are in there because I'm not 100% sure on all of them, but there's definitely some Desert Vista dye works in there with the self-striping. Again, there's a bit more Desert Vista dye works here. Yeah, and some other really random bits and pieces. But I may think they're a bit ugly, but he's ecstatic with them. He absolutely adores them and is desperate to wear them, but it's far too hot. So that's my second pair. My second pair of finished objects? That's not what I mean, is it? That's my second finished object today. And then I've also got one more pair of socks that I've finished. So let me just take these off the blockers. So I finished my little shorty socks as well. I will try and put these on the blockers so that you can see them. Right, that's one. In fact, I'll put one on the blocker. But I have got a pair. So I finished my little shorty socks, which are these. And these are the beachfront socks, which is the first pattern of the Summer Shorties Sock Club by Nordic Stitches. And I absolutely love these. I really like the garter toe, that little detail there with the garter toe. Yeah, I really love them. I did change the heel. The pattern called for a heel flap and gusset, but I did my standard German short row heel. I kind of wish, and in fact on the next sock I will alter it a little bit. I wish I had a bit more length at the back here. So I think what I might actually do on the next one is just add a little bit of cuff before I put the heel in, just because I do feel like that's going to be a little bit low if I'm wearing shoes. But yeah, and I've got the second one, and you can see it's kind of a fan and feather lace pattern there, and you can get a good feel. The yarn I used is my yarn, so it's a Giddy Yarns, and this is the Bubblegum Unicorn Cupcake with Sprinkles sock set. I really wish I'd given that a shorter name, because every time I have to write it down, it's really long to write down. It's getting shortened to kind of BUCC, Bubblegum Unicorn Cupcake, whenever I write it down. But yeah, I love how this is knit up. I'm really, really pleased with this colourway. And I love how the purple works for the coordinating mini skein as well. And I think there is some of this in the shop at the moment. Yeah, so the yarn base for my sock sets, it's a 75-25 merino nylon, and yeah, there's not much more to say about these. There are 4 patterns in the Summer Shorties Sock Club, and actually one of my future knitting is the second pattern. So I'm hoping to get those cast on quite soon as well. But I absolutely adore these socks. Really, really nice. And I'm really happy with how that colourway knit up as well. Okay, so that is all of my finished objects for this episode. But I don't think 3 is bad at all, actually. I felt like I was getting into a little bit of not a rut, but I was feeling a little bit like I hadn't got anything finished in ages, and all the projects I was working on I had been working on for ages. So it's nice to finally have things finished and be able to cast on a few more new things. My nose is really, 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 really itchy. Okay, so let's move on to works in progress. And I've only really got one work in progress that you've seen before, and I won't talk about it for too long because you've seen it a lot. And that is my eggs and bunny socks. Which again, as I said, I won't talk about too much because you've seen them. I've got one completed. So this is my yarn. This is one of my self-striping colourways, my sort of standard 5 stripes. And this is the Eggs and Bunnies colourway, which was one of my Easter colourways. And as you can see, I've just done like a little slip stitch detail when the stripes change. Ignore the hole. I've not sewn in the ends on these yet. But I've put the heel in the second sock and I'm working down the foot. So these are kind of my vanilla knitting at the moment, just basic. When I need something simple and I don't need to concentrate when I'm out and about. But yeah, I'm happy with them. I love how they've knit up. I'm really enjoying the little slip stitch detail. But yeah, so hopefully these will get finished soon. But I'm not in any rush to get them finished, which is quite a nice feeling sometimes, isn't it? But that's the only work in progress that you've seen before because everything else got finished. So I will move on in that case to new cast-ons, because I do have 3 new cast-ons. And let me just tuck all this away. Sorry, this is the boring bit that you don't really want to watch me sorting stuff out as I go along. Right, yes, new cast-ons. How many times can I say that? Okay, I'm going to start with another slightly boring one. Sorry. Although actually I'll go back to this because I always forget to say what project bags I've got things in. But this, my Eggs and Bunny socks are living in one of my lovely project bags from the little grey girl, who is Jem. I love her triangle bags. And the reason I say that one is because this one is also living in one of my little grey girl project bags. And I absolutely adore it. This one has got biscuits all over it. So my new cast on is another one of my self-striping colours. And it's all a little bit all over the place at the moment. And I haven't got a lot done on this, but I wanted to cast this on just to kind of see how it knit up and to start getting another sample, and also just to have something vanilla on the needles. So I cast on my Crocus colourway. Oh, see, I'm all over the place, out of practice. That's what happens when you don't record for a month. I cast on my Crocus colourway. And again, this is one of my standard 5 stripes. So you've got a stripe of white, yellow, light purple, green, and darker purple. And these are my gobstopper balls. So yeah, so I've cast that on kind of as a sample, and also just for me, really, eventually. But again, I've not got a lot done. I went to the Midlands monthly meetup just before Socks on the Beach, so a week and a half ago, something like that. And I wanted to have some just vanilla socks to knit on while I was there, because I knew I had to take Jasper with me, and I knew that there was no way I was going to be able to concentrate on anything complicated at all. So yeah, vanilla socks it was. And this was quick and easy to grab and cast on. So I'm glad I did. I'm really happy with how it's knitting up, and I'm looking forward to having these as a finished pair of socks. But at the moment, there's not a lot to show you. And the yarn base is just my standard self-striping yarn base at the moment, which is a 75/25 merino nylon. Yeah, I am thinking about starting to offer my self-striping on different yarn bases, because I do have a tendency to, I do tend to not warp the yarn anymore before the orders have been made. So actually, if somebody ordered something, I could warp a different base, no worries. I could make it accessible on different bases. I'm thinking about that for the future. So yeah, that's my first new cast on. Just a pair of vanilla socks in my self-striping colourway. And then I will go on with the next cast on. Sorry, I'm all over the place. Okay, so my next cast on is another pair of socks, also in my yarn, but these are going to be more interesting eventually. At the moment, they're not. I've cast on the second pattern, excuse the crinkling, I've cast on the second pattern in the Handmade Sock Society, which is the Magnolia socks, which are these ones here. And I have cast them on in one of my Flower Fairies yarns. So for those of you who don't know, I've been running a Flower Fairies yarn club through my shop, and this yarn was the April Club colour, which was the Daisy Fairy. So here's the yarn. Oh, come on, focus on it. There we go. Here's the yarn in the cake, and it came with a coordinating to do a butter yellow mini skein. So this was the Daisy Fairy, which was the April colour, and I'm using this for the Magnolia socks. But I've got the rib done. It was a twisted rib, so it took me longer than it usually would. But I'm really liking how this is knitting up, and I think it will work really, really well in these socks. I've had to have a little fiddle with the pattern because it's written for 64 stitches or 72 stitches, and I tend to do 68 stitches for me. But fortunately, with these ones, the pattern is only on the front of the leg, so actually adding a couple of stitches in either side of the pattern worked quite nicely. So hopefully that should be okay. And I've now finished the rib, and I'm ready to start the pattern bit. But in fact, I did start the first line of the pattern last night, and then I realised that I started from the top of the chart, not the bottom of the chart, so I was going to be doing it backwards. So I had to undo the whole round, which was a bit frustrating, but oh well, it's all ready and set up for me to now work on it. So yeah, as I said, this is the second sock from the Handmade Sock Society. These will be the Magnolia socks, and this is also a pattern by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. And I'm knitting them out of my April Flower Fairy yarn. I initially wanted to knit all of the Handmade Sock Society out of my Flower Fairy yarns, which I'm still hoping I'll be able to do. I mean, there's only 6 patterns, and obviously there's 12 Flower Fairies, so I'll have to pick and choose a little bit. But that gives me a little bit of flexibility with regards to what type of yarns I choose for the pattern as well. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with how this one is knitting up. But again, it's not that interesting because it's only a rib at the moment. And this one is living in a lovely project bag that was made for me as part of a swap, which is really, really fun. Just a lovely little drawstring project bag. I love the colours. It's really nice. So yeah, that's living in there at the moment. Okay, so my final work in progress. No, what am I on about? My final new cast on is a big one. I finally cast on my next jumper, and I am knitting the Prairie Fire by Tin Can Knits. It's living in my lovely project bag from Mrs. S Creations. She kindly gifted me this when she donated a prize for our knit along earlier in the year. And I am knitting, so I'm knitting the Prairie Fire, which is a pattern by Tin Can Knits. Ooh, nearly dropped the yarn. I'm just wondering, dropping everything now, whether, I guess I can show you that picture. There's nothing more on that page than, there's nothing on that page, it's just the front page. So that's obviously the child's version. I'm knitting the long sleeve version for adults, but that gives you a bit of an idea of the pattern. So I dyed up some DK weight yarn. It's a DK weight pattern, and I dyed up some DK weight yarn specifically for the pattern, just for me. I'm still not 100% sure whether I will do this colourway for the shop or not. I might have a play with it. See, it's coming up much redder on the screen. I thought it would. It's a bit bright on the screen. It's a little bit more of a kind of a plummy red. But yeah, I'm happy with it. It's kind of the colour I wanted for this jumper. But yeah, so I have started this. I've got 2 balls attached at the moment because I am alternating skeins because it's hand-dyed yarn. So if I pop those in the bag, hopefully they won't all get lost. So let me just work out if I can control all my yarn to show you how far I've got. Okay, so here we go. So this is where I am so far. I'm still working down the yoke. I've not separated for the sleeves yet. And it's probably on needles that are a little bit too short to really show off the lace pattern, which is a shame. but the lace pattern is started. And I'm really pleased with how it's going at the moment. I'm really happy with how it's knitting up. I love the kind of tonality of this. I think it's going to look really nice overall when it's finished. And yeah, it's got a garter stitch neckline, which I've never done before. So it'll be interesting to see how I feel with that. Where's that? And then yeah, you've got this lovely lace panel which kind of grows throughout the sweater. So it starts as like a triangle here, and it comes down and it goes all the way around into a deep V at the back. But yeah, it's actually really simple. I was a bit nervous about starting this, but actually it's really, really simple. And I'm really enjoying it. As I said, I'm alternating skeins, so you can kind of see that inside there. But fortunately, it alternates down the centre back. So I don't mind that I'm going to have that down the centre back. It'll look fine there. And you can only really tell if you look very closely. But yeah, I love how I'm getting kind of I like the tonality of the yarn. Let's see if you can kind of see it there. Again, you're losing some of the plummy colours. It's coming up a little bit brighter than it is in true life, but you can get a feel of the tonality there as well. And the yarn base it's a DK weight yarn, as I said. It's a 100% superwash merino. Just a really simple yarn base, but I thought it would work really well for this jumper. And I'm really pleased with it so far. So I look forward to getting some more work done on this and seeing this grow. This is actually one of my Make 9 projects as well. So I'm really pleased to get that cast on. I'm kind of, have I knit 3 of my Make 9 or 2? 3 of my Make 9. Now I finished my quill shawl, that was a Make 9 project as well. So I have finished 3 of my Make 9 projects. So this is number 4 on the needles. And yeah, she's just, so this is, if I haven't talked about this in detail before, the Make 9 thing, initially it started out as just a sort of an Instagram challenge where you created a grid of 9 things that you wanted to make in 2018. They've done them in previous years as well. So no, 9 things you want to make in 2018. And then Emma of Eldenwood Craft started a knit-along specifically designed for the Make 9 challenge, like a year-long knit-along, which I thought would be really cool to join in on, seeing as I was planning on doing the Make 9 anyway. So yeah, so that's what I did, and I created my grid of 9 things, which I talked about in a previous episode. But she's just announced on her most recent podcast that now we're halfway through the year, if anyone wants to change up to 3 of their grid, then they can do for the knit-along, and I am thinking I might do. There's a couple of shawls, well there's one shawl on there that now I'm wondering if actually I'm going to knit that shawl or if I'm going to knit another shawl. Now that new shawls have come out, there's different things I want to knit, understandably, so I might have to move that around and kind of, I might have to rejig a few things on it and I need to have a little look at it. I need to find some time. That's like all I say at the moment. I need to find some time to sit down and do this. I need to find some time to sit down and work that out. But yeah, I need to find some time to sit down and decide on my Make 9. Okay, so that's all my new cast-ons. So I was going to touch on a little bit of blanket progress this week. Let me just get this one out of the way. Because I've done a little bit of work on Arthur's blanket, I think, since I last saw you. Hopefully, I haven't shown you this before, but I couldn't see that I had, so we'll see. But this is Arthur's blanket. Oh, that's attached to that one, so I will leave that in there. This is Arthur's blanket, and I'm knitting this blanket. It's a crochet blanket. I've only got 1 row completed, and I'm trying to find the front. That's the front. But I think last time I talked about it, I was still trying to decide on the colour that I was going to use to join them. And I've now decided I'm just going to use an undyed white colour to join the squares. So I've done 1 row, and I've got one row completely joined, but of course it's too big to put on too big to show you on the screen properly. So I've got, yeah, 1 row completely joined. And then the second row, I've just started bordering some of the squares. And I'm knitting these, no, I'm crocheting these, must get it right, out of the minis from Debbie from Down Sheepy Lane. Which I've talked about before. She's doing the Colour of the Month minis throughout the year based on Disney films. And I thought that would be a really nice thing to have for a blanket for Arthur. He loves all my knitwear and all these kind of all my crafty stuff. He's really, really sort of engaged with it. He loves it when I knit him jumpers and stuff like that. And he's been really enjoying the blankets that I've been crocheting for myself. So he was like, when am I going to get a blanket, Mummy? And I said, okay, I'll make you one then. It's going to be kind of single bed sized, roughly. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it and I've made some progress. I've still got a lot more minis that need to be put into it, but I have made some progress. Okay, so that was my basic little bit of blanket progress. Okay, so I thought now I will show you, oh, which way am I going to do this? I was going to do yarny goodness and then future knitting, or should I do future knitting and then yarny goodness? Let's do future knitting first. This will involve a little bit of rejigging things around, so apologies for that. So future knitting, I was going to talk about a couple of things. Oh, and in fact, I need to get into, I'm going to disappear now because I need to get into a box that's under the bed. Can I get into it? Here's what I want in there. Yes, it is. Ooh, excuse the noise. There we go. Right. Oh, go under there. Perfect. Storage boxes under the bed with yarn in. Yeah, okay, so there's a couple of things that I really want to cast on soon. One of them is a very belated Christmas present for my aunt. And I said I would knit her a shawl. And I decided that I was going to knit the tulle shawl, which again is another Helen Stewart Curious Handmade shawl, and it was part of the Knit Vent series. And my aunt requested, it took me ages to kind of get a full colour out of my aunt. She requested kind of a denim-y grey colour, but then she wanted it with like a wash of purple. And to be fair, it's taken me ages to get round to dyeing up the yarn for this, but I have finally dyed her up some yarn. Oh, and actually, that is coming across on the screen much better than I was expecting to. So it's kind of a charcoal grey with just a wash of purple, which you can actually really see on the screen there, which is nice. So I'm really happy with this, and I think this will look really nice in the shawl. The shawl is also designed that you could use beads, but I haven't quite decided if I want to include beads or not, because I was thinking it actually beads in a, just in the lace maybe, but in a kind of a frosted lavender colour, kind of something like that might be really nice, and that might make those bits of purple, those kind of purple washes, it might really make those pop. I think I might make that decision when I get there. I'm certainly not going to put any beads in the main garter stitch section of the shawl, which you can do. But I think, knowing my aunt, that would be a bit too much. So I'm thinking I might just maybe put some in the lace, which is on the edge of the shawl. I'll try and remember to put a picture up of the tulle shawl. So yeah, I might just put some in the lace border, in which case I'll see how this is knitting up, and then I'll make that decision when I get towards the edge, I think. But yeah, I'm really happy with how the colourway dyed up. I have got no name for it. I will have to have a little think if I'm going to use this in the shop. But yeah, it's just kind of a charcoal grey with a purple wash, which I think is exactly what she was after. So I'm really pleased with that. And I'm excited to see how the purple looks as it knits up. It'll be really interesting. So that's my first bit of future knitting. And then the second thing that I am desperate to cast on is, and I'm just looking and seeing whether I can get, in this box I can find some. I am desperate to cast on the Maytham shawl, which is one of the newest patterns from Helen Stewart. And it's part of her, the Handmade Shawl Society, the Shawl Society. Shawl Society 3, I believe it is at the moment. But yeah, so she's doing it, oh dear, sorry, brain dead. Right, Shawl Society 3. It's based on The Secret Garden. It's all inspired by The Secret Garden. So the first pattern is the Maytham shawl, and I believe that Maytham is the name of the real house that inspired the story of The Secret Garden. But it is a gorgeous 2-colour shawl, and again, I'll try and put a picture up of it. And I am desperate to cast it on, and I really think it will look absolutely lovely in my new wisteria colourway, with Rain Cloud as the second colour that comes in on the shawl. So I'm desperate to cast this up. I bought some of this back from Socks on the Beach. It didn't sell out, and actually it's not sold out in the shop. I'm really surprised it's not selling as well as I thought it would. But hey, I'm not going to complain, because it means I can steal some and knit something myself. So these will become a Maytham shawl, which again I'm itching to cast on. I've been seeing them pop up, and it looks like a really interesting shawl. There's lots of changes in texture, lots of changes in stitch, lots of different bits throughout it. So I don't think it's the type of thing that you'd get bored of. It is a massive shawl though, so yeah, the thought of taking on another massive shawl, a little bit daunting, but I've been really enjoying the ones I've been working on recently, so I might just go for it. But yeah, so they're destined to become the Maytham shawl. And then the final thing I want to cast on is the Seafoam socks, and these are, I was organised and I printed you out a pattern of this one. These are the second pattern in the Nordic Stitches Summer Shorties Sock Club. And yeah, I really want to cast these on, and I'm trying to decide what yarn to cast them on in. I don't know how well that shows up, but it's a lace pattern. I'll show you again. It's a lace pattern. So I don't want anything too complicated. I was debating using my yarn. I was thinking I might use a wisteria sock set, which again, this is my wisteria colourway, and then I've done it as a sock set option as well. So I was debating using that. Alternatively, there's a couple of colours in my stash that I was contemplating as well. I was thinking, where's it hiding? I might actually, maybe I will use that one. Come out. I was thinking maybe this one. I picked this up at Unravel. This is West Green Loft Yarns, who is Vicky, and this is her Paramore colourway, but it's this gorgeous kind of minty green with speckles. And I am thinking with these socks, I'm thinking I might do them all in one colour rather than putting a contrast in. So in the same way that she's done in the pattern, I'm thinking I might do them all in one colour. So I might use this. I think that might work quite nicely. It's a really nice kind of speckled yarn. Maybe I'll do that. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Oh, I don't know. I never know. I'm not very good at making yarn choice decisions, which is why I seem to end up knitting everything in my yarn. But then my other option was, I don't know. Oh yeah, possibly. Oh, see, now I want to get things out. I'm dropping my yarn. I should have organised this earlier. And thought about it, shouldn't I? Yarn escaping under my chair. Where are they hiding? Yeah, possibly. No, not that one. Yeah, see, that would be quite. Oh, see, now I speak. See, I've also got this one, and this is a Nora George yarns in the Fleur Delacour colourway. And actually, that might be quite nice. It's kind of sea colours as well, isn't it? Decisions. I don't know. Anyway, I need to go through my stash and make a decision on that, I think. Or that one. That might be quite fun as well. No, I think it'll be one of these two. Yeah, I'm making a decision. It's going to be one of these two. Anyway, diversion of my future knitting decisions. I'm going to leave those ones out. I've got so much more yarn to clear up now than I was expecting to. So that's all kind of my future knitting at the moment, but I'm itching to cast everything on, which would be ridiculous, wouldn't it, to cast everything on just before we move and then have all these sort of works in progress to have to cart around with me as we move house. But I don't know, maybe all the distractions, I kind of think that actually it's going to be quite a good thing to do, because you know, when you're in that stressed frame of mind and you can't focus on one thing, I find that actually having lots of different projects that I can do, kind of a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of this, and a lot of variety helps. And I'm planning to take a week off before we move, so I might have time to do that. I'm not sure. Anyway, I am going to move on now to shop news quickly, because I'm kind of getting into it with taking a week off. So as you're aware, I've talked about it, I'm moving to Dundee. Now, there will be a little bit of a change with the shop, and there's a few things to do with the shop that I want to talk about as well. So firstly, shop update. The next shop update will be on Sunday, the 1st of July, which is a bit different to my usual update. My updates are usually on the first Saturday of every month. But this month, it's going to be on Sunday, the 1st of July. And part of that's for two reasons. Firstly, I am taking part in the Countess Blaze kind of cooperative thing that's going on at the moment, which is the Tits Out Collective. So yeah, apologies if you are a bit like me and you don't swear a lot and it makes you feel a bit uncomfortable, because I'm going to be saying the word tit quite a lot. Fortunately, it's a word I'm not too uncomfortable saying, but anyway. So I am taking part in the Tits Out Collective. Basically, Countess Blaze, who, if you don't know of her, she is a yarn dyer based in Manchester, and she released two colourways a few months ago because of she was approached to basically donate her time and her yarn to a charity organisation for free without anything in return, which I understand, you know, some people are willing to do that, but at the same time, this is work that she's putting a lot of time and a lot of effort into, and she shouldn't be expected to just give stuff away for free and for exposure. And that was the idea. You know, the idea was that you give stuff for charity and they'll give you exposure. So she created this colourway, which was called if I want exposure, I'll get my tits out. And I'm getting very distracted by the fact that I don't think the camera's focused on me properly, or my glasses are filthy again. I never know. Let's clean them again. So yeah, so she did this, and there was another colourway as well. And both between these two colourways, she raised, I think, something like £3,000 for Women's Aid, which is amazing. And then a little while ago, she discovered that a yarn dyer had basically ripped off her if I wanted exposure, I'll get my tits out colourway. They had been seen knitting with the original colourway on their feed, and then recently a colourway has appeared on their feed, which is pretty much identical. She has not named and shamed at all, and I won't either. I have my suspicions. I have looked on Instagram and I have seen what I think is the rip-off colourway. But again, I'm not gonna say anything. It's not my place to name and shame. But yeah, if it is, it's blatant. So I wanted to get involved, but instead of right, I'm not explaining this very well. So sorry. So basically, she got her colourway idea completely ripped off, and this was an epic colourway that raised thousands of pounds for charity. And for somebody to sort of go out there and copy it in the hope of getting the money for themselves, then I can understand, you know, I would be furious. But she has dealt with this in such a fantastic way. And what she is doing is she is opening up the colourway to indie dyers and basically saying, right, what I want you to do is dye up your version of the colourway on the condition that at least £3 from every skein you sell goes to charity, and charity of your choice. So basically, all of that to say, I am getting involved in the Tits Out Collective, and I will be dyeing up a sock set. So it'll be one of my 70-gram sock sets, where you get 50 grams of the main colour and then you get the contrasting mini. So I will be dyeing up some sock sets with my version of the If I Want Exposure colourway in a sock set. And £4 from every sock set is going to go to White Lodge Centre, which specifically the Treetops unit, which is so White Lodge is it's a centre near me. It's in Surrey. It's just over in Chertsey, if you know the area at all. And the centre as a whole provides support and kind of day centre care and nursery care and all kinds of things like this for children and adults with special needs, whether that's complex physical disabilities, learning disabilities, autism, and various things sort of around that subject. I have been working for the last sort of 3 or 4 months. I've been working at the Treetops unit on bank staff. But when I worked for the agency, I used to work there doing agency shifts as well. So I've actually been working there on and off for the last sort of 3 years, really. And Treetops it's a unit that provides respite care for children with, again, the same kind of the complex physical disabilities, learning disabilities, autism, Down syndrome, very complex care needs, lots of challenging behaviour and things like that as well. And they provide evening, weekend and school holiday respite. So the kids come to us and some of them they go to school during the week. They go to school Monday to Friday during the week, but they'll come sort of for an after school, they'll come to us from school, stay overnight and go back to school in the morning. During school holidays, some of them will come and stay for a week to give their parents a bit of a break. Often they come and have a weekend stay, depending on the needs of the child and the needs of the family. So yeah, basically this is what Treetops provide. So £4 from the sales, £4 from every sock set will be going to Treetops, because they're a local charity and I see what they do. You know, I've worked there. I've worked with these kids, and any extras that they can do, any activities that it might help them do would be brilliant. So yeah, so that's the first reason that my shop update is going to be on the 1st of July, because all of the Tits Out colourways will be releasing on the 1st of July. And I think what I will be doing is I would be dyeing up a batch ready to ship, and if they sell well, then I might do a few pre-order as well, so that they're available. Okay, so that's the first thing. Sorry, that took a long time to explain and felt really, really rambly. But if you watch regularly, you know that's just me. The other reason is because the shop will be shutting. It won't be shutting. I will be keeping only pre-orders. So the Flower Fairies and Advent calendars are all that will be in the shop from probably the 20th of July until probably middle of August. Yeah, probably about the 14th of August, maybe something like that. I haven't quite set myself an opening date. I'll put a shop announcement in the shop anyway, and I'll do a post on Instagram once I've set that date. But it will be shut for probably about 3 weeks, 3-4 weeks. And when I say shut, I keep thinking it won't be shut, because you'll be available to pre-order the Flower Fairies and pre-order Advent calendars, but there'll be no ready to ship things in the shop. I'm sure you can understand that I just need to have that space where I move, where I'm not going to have to be worrying about getting to post offices and all that kind of thing. So hence I'm moving the shop update a little bit earlier. And again, this shop update will be a little bit smaller. I've got quite a lot left over from Socks on the Beach that I'll be putting up. But then I won't be doing any self-striping pre-orders this month, because I just won't have time. But yeah, so there'll be the Tits Out yarn, there'll be my monthly minis, and there'll be some leftover bits and pieces from Socks on the Beach, basically. That is what is coming to the shop. And I don't think I had anything else to tell you about the shop news. Only to say that Advent calendars, if you are interested in Advent calendars, I am nearly at the point where I'm going to have to stop selling 20 grams Advents. I've worked out sort of a finite number that I need to sell. A finite number that I will be dyeing, and I'm almost at my limit of 20 grams. So there will still be 10 grams available, but I'm getting close to a limit of 20 grams. So if you want a 20 gram Advent, you probably need to order it this month. Probably. Okay, anyway, that is everything, I think. I've talked about all the stuff that's in front of me. Oh no, I've not done Yarny Goodness yet. Oh gosh, this is going to be a long episode, isn't it? Okay, well, I will do Yarny Goodness now, after shop news, because I forgot about it, and there's quite a lot of it. Okay, yarny goodness. I can't believe I forgot yarny goodness. And I said there's quite a bit, so apologies. This is going to be a bit of a longer episode. But hey, I'll leave the yarny goodness at the end, so you can always skip it if you want to. Okay, so what did I do? Right, I made the most of the drops sale that Wool Warehouse had, and I picked up a few skeins of just drops Fable in solid colours. One of which I've already used and I've lost the label for. So I just picked up four skeins of sort of solid colours because they're quite useful to have for heels and toes, especially for Tom's new scrappy sock obsession. Dropping them all. So I picked up this one, which is colour 104. This one, which I haven't got the colour number because I've lost the label. This one, which is colour number 112, and then this one, which is colour number 102. So they were just for heels and toes, basically. And then I also picked up yarn for a new jumper for Arthur, as well as I picked up 2 random balls of, so this is all the Drops Merino Extra Fine. But my uncle, who is the husband of my aunt, also is waiting for a Christmas present, and I was going to knit him a cowl, and I wanted to knit it out of these colours, because they're the colours that he's requested. And I thought I had some of this in DK, which I didn't, so I had to order some of that. And then I ended up ordering that, which is kind of completely wrong colour, but I'm sure I'll find a use for it. It's not a 3 colour, it's these 2 colours it's going to be. Anyway, so I picked up a couple of those just to make sure that I had those. And then Arthur's jumper. So I'm going to knit Arthur the Tender Heart jumper by Tin Can Knits, which is a colourwork yoke. I kind of want to knit myself a colourwork yoke jumper, but I thought to myself, well, if I knit one for Arthur first, it gives me kind of a practice run on a smaller scale. And using a lot less yarn and with less concern if it goes completely wrong. So I decided I'd go with the Tender Heart pattern by Tin Can Knits because their patterns are always written really well and really clearly. So I thought I can't really go wrong with a Tin Can Knits pattern. And I picked up 3 colours for it. So the main body is going to be in the grey, and then the colourwork yoke will be in these 2 colours. Of course, it's purple and grey, which is just Arthur all over. But I have tried to throw a bit of green in there as well. So again, I've picked up the yarn that I will need for that to knit one in Arthur's size. So that was me making the most of the drop sale. And then of course we had Socks on the Beach. So I had to pick up a couple of things from Socks on the Beach. And firstly, Debbie from Down Sheepy Lane was also doing the pop-up shop at Socks on the Beach. So we swapped minis, because of course I had to get this month's Colour of the Month minis. And this month is inspired by Monsters Inc. And I love how bright and vibrant these colours are. I'm really looking forward to getting these into Arthur's blanket. So these are, yeah, as I said, her minis. Oh, and she's labelled them all. That's quite cool. I've not noticed that on previous ones. Anyway, these are all the Colour of the Month minis. So absolutely gorgeous. And we did a little swap for those. And then I couldn't resist picking up just a standard skein of Debbie's yarn. And I picked up this one here, which is called Grandma's Garden. And it is a 75-25 merino nylon. And it's just really pretty. Absolutely gorgeous colours. I couldn't resist. And then a friend of mine, Rachel, I gave her a lift down, and she very kindly, as a thank you, picked up a little bundle of 10-gram minis from Debbie's stand for me, just to say thank you for giving her a lift. So they will be definitely going into my blankets when I get time. My mantra at the moment. And then the other thing I received is this month's Flower Power yarn, because as you know, I've been collecting the Flower Power yarns. And this month had two. There were two dyers who were doing the Flower Power yarn this month. There was the Knitting Goddess, and there was also Henny Penny Makes. And I couldn't justify buying from both of them, so I picked the yarn from Henny Penny Makes, which is this beautiful kind of purples and blues, really, really gorgeous skein. And the other reason I picked this is because this shop is so Henny Penny Makes is based near Dundee. She's based in Angus, Dundee. She has a Dundee postcode. So the thought of actually having some yarn from somebody who was quite near where I'm going to be moving to was really, really nice. And it's absolutely gorgeous. You can see all those lovely purples and blues in there. So I'm really happy with it. And it is Delphinium is the colourway, Delphiniums. So as I've said before, all the Flower Power funds are being dyed to be inspired by colours. Oh goodness, my brain's gone dead. Being dyed inspired by flowers, not colours, flowers. So this one is Delphiniums, and I absolutely love it. And of course, as usual, a percentage of the profits from each skein will be going to Marie Curie, which is also really nice to be supporting cancer as well as supporting charity, as well as small businesses. And here is her shop information, if I can hold up the card. The label, by the way, on that yarn did not come in that condition. Jasper got hold of it, of course. Okay, and then more yarny goodness. I'm getting really, really hot now. I don't know if you can see that. It is roasting in here, and I've got the window shut to try and reduce the noise. My Fibershare parcel arrived. And this is the most epic Fibershare parcel ever. It's absolutely amazing. Firstly, it all came in this beautiful project bag, which has been made for me, and I absolutely love it. It is so cool. It's really big, and it's even got little pockets on the inside there as well. And my Fibershare partner is a knitting designer, Weber Street Knittery. And one of the first things she sent me, so she included, when we were discussing, when I sort of put up my information, we were talking about it, and she said, one of the things that I really wanted to do this year is work on my lace knitting, which I've talked about before. And she included one of her patterns, which is a lace shawl. And then she also included yarn specifically designed to knit that pattern. And I think that is such a good idea. So the first one is Malabrigo in the pearl colourway, and this is a 100% superwash merino, but it's a single ply yarn. It's such a gorgeous kind of grey colourway. And then alongside that is two little skeins of silk mohair as well, and the idea is that you knit the shawl holding these two together. And I've not worked with mohair, so that'll be really, really interesting to do. So I'm really looking forward to trying. It says here it's the lace shawl for non-lace knitters, which is quite nice. It'll be simple, easy to remember lace motif, and I'm really looking forward to giving that a go. So that is, yeah, the Growing Lilies shawl, which is by Weber Street Knittery, who is Jennifer Peck, and she was my Fibershare partner, so that is really nice. And then she also included more things. She included two further skeins of yarn, and these are clearly designed to go together because of the way she packaged them, and they are stunning. So first of all, again, they're both single ply. The first one is a Madeline Tosh. It's Tosh Merino Light in the single ply colourway, and it's the Corsteau colourway. It's just this gorgeous blues and greens, and that's actually, that colour is really coming across well on the camera there. Absolutely stunning. And then she put this in with it as well, which is skein yarn, and this is in the Myrtle Creek colourway. And again, another single ply, and I can just see how these two would work beautifully together in a two colour shawl of some kind. Absolutely stunning. Really beautiful. So yeah, I'm going to definitely be using those together. And I was looking, I've got a couple of other skeins of single ply, and now I'm going to go off on a tangent. And I was looking at whether whether these would go together in kind of a fade kind of thing, and I haven't quite worked it out yet. I think they might do. Oh, that one's come undone. I think they might work if I moved some bits around. I mean, these two definitely go together because you've got some of those kind of matches with these kind of turquoisey bits, and even some of these kind of purpley bits match as well. So they would definitely work together. And then I do think that this would work with this one as well, with the blues and things. And then initially I'd kind of got this one to go with this one. But then I think these do all work together. So I'm thinking maybe I might have found some kind of fade that I could work with. Need to kind of play around a little bit with the order that these went in. But that's definitely a possibility. Definitely a possibility. I will reskein that up again later. But yeah, so that was lovely. Those two gorgeous skeins of yarn. And then what else did she include for me? All kinds of little goodies in here. Oh, one of which I've now thrown on the floor. So again, there was a little bit more yarn in a little 50-gram skein of Koigu. And this is colourway numbers. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, it's this gorgeous, it's obviously quite a high twist. It's 100% merino, but it's a very high twist yarn, as you can see there. Gorgeous sort of pinks and purples. I love that. So I will definitely find a use for that. And then the rest is lots of little bits and pieces. So she's got this lovely little ceramic bowl, which would be perfect for sort of popping little stitch markers in. Oh, I'd forgotten about this. It got tucked away. Some chocolate, which I might be opening this afternoon while Arthur's still at the park. A lovely magnet, which I would definitely find use for. If I'm sitting, I'm knitting. A couple of little cards, which are so cool, knitting related cards, which I will definitely find a use for. And then she made me some little stitch markers. I know she made these because she shared a picture on her Instagram when she was making them. So these gorgeous little beaded progress keepers, which are absolutely stunning. And, oh, see, I'm dropping everything today. What is going on? So out of practice. It's not good, is it? Hopefully next time I will be a bit more organised. And then some little snips, which is brilliant because I have got nowhere near enough scissors for my project bags. And these little snips are so useful. And these are the little octopus snips from Higher Higher. So cool. And that was my wonderful fibre share package. So I was spoilt rotten. So thank you so, so much. And I can't wait. See, now I want to knit everything, all the things, all the yarn. Yeah, there's not enough time in the day, is there? Not enough time in the day. But that is all of my yarny goodness. It was quite a lot this month. But I can't imagine I will have a lot of time for yarn shopping in the next month and with moving and things like that. But yeah, I'm so happy with everything that I bought. So why not? Okay, I will leave you all there then, now that I've caused it to be an extra long episode by forgetting a whole section and having to put it in at the end. I will see you again, hopefully, in a couple of weeks' time. We move, as I said, we move a month today. We're not packing. We have paid extra for the removals people to actually pack for us because we just thought with the kids, it's just not going to happen. I'm going to be working right up until we pack with, I've got a lot of pre-orders and stuff on at the moment. So, and Tom's working up until the 17th. So it just wasn't going to happen. So yeah, a month today we move, but they're coming and they're packing for us. So at least we haven't got to do too much of that. My parents were here last week and we made the most of them being here, and we managed to get rid of our old bookshelves, which were falling apart. So they've gone to the tip. We now have a huge pile of books in the corner of our bedroom, which you can't see, but it's just over there. And we managed to go through, while they were here, they took the boys out a lot. And we managed to go through kind of all the wardrobes, all the cupboards, and just get rid of stuff that we weren't going to keep and we weren't going to move. So that was really, 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 really helpful. So yeah, hopefully I will be back in 2 weeks' time. Now everything is running a little bit smoother and everything is organised. Yeah, that should be okay. So anyway, I will see you in 2 weeks' time, fingers crossed, for episode number 32. Until then, enjoy your knitting, and yeah, I'll see you soon. Bye.